Hello and welcome to the Tough Girl Podcast, a 3-time award-winning show that aims to motivate and inspire you while increasing the amount of female role models in the media, especially in relation to adventure and physical challenges. I'm your host, Sarah Williams. If you're passionate about adventure, challenge and learning from women who have overcome obstacles and achieved remarkable things, then this is the podcast for you. Every Tuesday at 7 a.m, new episodes go live featuring incredible women who share their stories, insights and tips to help you achieve your dreams and goals. You can support the Tough Girl mission by signing up as a patron. Visit Patreon, patreon.com/Tough Girl Podcast. Keep listening until the very end as I share more information about what's going on with me with Tough Girl Challenges, give shout outs and recommend other Tough Girl Podcast episodes. More information can be found at toughgirlchallenges.com.
My name is Kasia. I currently live in Hereford in the UK. I'm a full-time freelance outdoor instructor for the last 2 years. However, I didn't work previously in the outdoor world. So originally I'm from Poland. I moved to UK in 2008 when I was 20 years old. I've never been outdoorsy. I never walked mountains with my family. We never been going out to the hills. That wasn't a culture in my hometown. So I did spend some time doing some scout activities because my brother used to be very involved in that. And when I finished my A-levels and my technical college, then I decided to just pack my big pink luggage and come to UK and try to start a new life.
It must have been so many different challenges, the language, the culture, finding a job, finding people, finding friendships, a community. What were the early years like for you?
It was very challenging, I would say. When I arrived here, I came to my now ex-husband because he was living here for a few years already. And I arrived basically to live with him. And so as you can imagine, the language barrier was quite huge because my English was very limited and I only knew what I learned at school. So finding the first job was a huge challenge. I started from very low paid jobs, like doing some housekeeping in a B&B. And then I went to work for some pizza place for a day or two, but I couldn't communicate properly. So that's why they didn't continue employment with me. And then when I arrived, they were like a small Polish work agency. So I contacted them and then I was working in a factory for 2 years. So that was the most challenging period because I went straight to working in a big factory. It was really grim because it was a chicken factory. So you're standing on a big line in a cold room with all these, PPE, wearing gloves and hats and stuff like that. And it was quite smelly as well. So you're standing on that line and you moving a cold chicken on the line, basically. So it wasn't a very good experience, but that was one of my first jobs in the UK.
Did you have the energy to go outside, to spend time in the outdoors? Was that an option at that point?
Not at all. No, the first few years of living in the UK, obviously I was working hard. There was not much social life. So I was going work, home. And in 2008, I got pregnant. I became a mother in 2009, September. Then everything changed. So, I was still working, but I was also bringing up a child. And then I decided that, this is not for me. I should probably do something more with my life. And I started educating myself. So I did get new jobs and every 2 years I was like changing jobs and, doing some courses. I've completed some MBQs and some Piateks. I've done leadership qualifications. And then I was just climbing that career ladder, also being a mother at the same time. Also going through divorce in the same time. So it was like a really chaotic period in my life, I would say. And then when I divorced my husband, I was a single parent. And, when my daughter was with him during the weekend, and then I was only going out and partying, and drinking and just not being outdoor at all at this time yet. So I was probably like 25. And I was like, wow, this is not for me. I should probably be doing something better with my life. So I can't just go hangover one weekend and then straight back to work and then spending time with my daughter on the weekends and basically there was no systematic approach to it. It was just being hectic. I live in Hereford, which is quite close to Brecon Beacons Mountains. And I started, I completed my driving license at the age, I think, of 25 or 26 as well, so quite late in my life. And I've just been going to the mountains with my friends, exploring the surrounding mountains in Herefordshire and, Brecon Beacons Black Mountains. And this is how basically it started. Sometimes I was just going on my own and having a quiet time just to change something, just to, become a better person.
So, I mean, you are working as an outdoor instructor now, which is absolutely fantastic. Could you share more about your journey from spending these weekends out in the mountains in your free time to becoming a qualified outdoor instructor?
My friend invited me also to local climbing center in Hereford. And he was like, "Oh, do you want to try climbing?" I was like, "Well, what's climbing? I never climbed before." So we went indoors. We started a little bit bouldering. Then he taught me how to, tie in, do the figure of a belay. I used to hate it. I used to be really anxious to belay another person because I thought, wow, I'm going to kill them. If I drop them, they're dead. So that anxiety was kicking in when I tried to learn new skills. And I was really out of my comfort zone doing climbing. That's why I continued a little bit more with bouldering. And then I took my daughter to bouldering center as well. So we started boulder together a few years ago. And yeah, that's how it started, I would say. When I was single parent for 2-3 years, that's how we just tried to keep ourselves entertained. And she loved it. I loved it. And then I met another person who I'm with until now. And we basically started to climbing together. And I went to the local outdoor shop to buy some gear. Because I realized, okay, I don't have a proper equipment. I need to get something. And they recommended an outdoor instructor because in my head, I wanted to be safe. I wanted to be independent and I wanted to develop my skills in mountains. So they recommended outdoor instructor. And this is how it slowly started getting into my head that skills, independence, being safe, it's my priority. So I need to buy good gear. I need to book myself onto a course. When I got into contact with our local MCI, so it's like a mountaineering climbing instructor, Bob Thomas, he organized a navigation course for me and my partner. And then I booked also scrambling course with him and climbing course. So I almost was with the same instructor during that development. And he's really thorough with everything, what he does and how he delivers the course. And I was sitting on the crack and seeing him how he instructing us, giving clear, he was giving us clear instructions. And then I was like, this is great. I think this is what I want to do. And that spark in my head, it was just like awakening, basically. In the same time, I was working also to build up that career. I was working at the hospital as what I was doing at the moment. At the time, I was supervisor at the restaurant, actually. And I was stepping into that management position as well. And I was working also for the local car dealership in the service department. And I was talking to these people and I said, oh, I really want to be a mountain leader. I really want to go and be climbing instructor. And my dream is to become a member of, mountain rescue. And they basically laughed at me because in their head, there was no, how you can make money by walking mountains. This is not possible. But because people are not aware of what you can achieve really in the outer world. I was criticized many times. However, I was really stubborn. And at the time I became a project manager at the local hospital as well. And I was really glad because I made a little bit more money and I had good wages. I was really independent and could afford going out more, could afford spending more money on the gear. And that started developing the whole journey. It was just smooth and it was flowing at the time, I would say. I had a really honest conversation with that mountaineering instructor who I said to him, do you think it's going to work? I really want to become an instructor. What should I do? And he gave me a little bit of advice where to start, how you're booking yourself into the course, how you need to get registered with mountain training. And then you have to provide your D-log. So it's like a digital logbook of mountains you walked, because obviously you need to tick off all these boxes. and you need to provide evidence that you've got experience in the mountains, and you have to know how to navigate and how to be self-sufficient in the mountains and so on. So that was building my portfolio. And then you used to book yourself onto a course as well. Obviously, you've got that consolidation period when after the course you have to tick certain boxes in your D-log as well. So you have to have certain amount of mountaineering days and so on. So you have to prove your experience before you're going to book yourself onto assessment. So that was the quite difficult part of the journey, because, I was working in the week 8 till 5, and then on the weekends I was going away, and we call it logging these QMDs, quality mountain day. So it almost became as a chore. So at some point I lost that love, for the mountains, because I thought it's a chore. I'm not enjoying it at the moment, but I have to do it to complete my qualification. It was hard sometimes, but now, when I'm looking back, I would never do anything different, because the journey was great.
On that journey, starting to connect with an outdoor instructor, starting to build your skills up, to get your independence, going on these courses, how long did it take you before you became qualified?
So I've done my mountain leader training. I think that was 2020. So it was very recent. And I passed also my rock climbing instructor assessment. I think it was 2021. So from the training to the assessment, it was just 1 year gap. And also my mountain leader training and assessment I've completed within a year or two, including the lockdown break. So I was quite focused on what I was doing, and I was trying to do as much as possible in a year, because that was my goal. I said, I need to complete that in a year, because, I'm getting older, and then it's going to be just more difficult and difficult. So anytime I had free, I was in the mountains. And sometimes I was booking my 2 weeks off work, and then I was going away and trying to hit that target. I had approximately a year and maximum 2 years, or 18 months that was between training and assessment as a mountain leader and a rock climbing instructor.
So what happened after you got qualified? Did you start working for an outdoor company? Did you want to try and build up your own business? Did you start doing Duke of Edinburgh work?
That was the most difficult part, I would say, of this journey, because I left my project coordinator job. I took a month off to complete my mountain leader scheme, because that was just 2 months before my assessment. So I left one job. I left myself a month off. So I was like, this is my month to prepare to consolidate before the assessment. That was January 2022. In March 2022, I passed the mountain leader assessment after 5 days of being assessed in North Wales. That was May 2022, when I decided to just hand my notice in. And I said, this is where I need to go. I was supported by my partner as well at the time. And he was like, just go for it. Just hand notice and try to find a new work. And I was like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing. But at the same, I've seen Raleigh International, which was like a expedition company that provided expeditions for young children, and they've been raising money for charity. And they said, oh, we're looking for volunteers to lead the trek in Scotland in a remote part, because they're going to be doing some forestation works. So they're going to try to remove these rhododendrons from ancient forests, and they try to rebuild ancient forest. And they're looking for some MLs with some management experience to look after the children there and doing some work as well. So I was like, this is great. This is a great opportunity for me. And that was like 3 weeks being in Scotland, doing some works and leading the trek. So I said, this is my time. This is the opportunity. I'm handing over a notice at my work, and then I can go straight into that Raleigh job, which I knew I'm not going to be paid for, but that would be my first experience as a mountain leader. So I did that, and I said, I'm leaving. I had the notice in, and then I've received the email that Raleigh International got bust. So I ended up with no job and no experience as a mountain leader. So it was really, really stressful time in my life, because I said, okay, what I'm doing now, because I'm completely green, completely new to it. and I have no idea what I'm doing. So then I started asking people around, what's next? How are you finding the job? And I've been given few advices. So I started posting there were some Facebook groups, like, outdoor instructors and so on. And then I started posting some offers that I'm, newly qualified outdoor instructor. I'm looking for a job. I've got, rock climbing instructor qualification. I've got mountain leader qualification. You're like almost shouting, please employ me. So it was stressful time. However, in the same time, someone advised that there is the job that you can work for the British Army to provide training for the army recruits as a outdoor instructor. And because it's quite local in Brecon Beacons, and I knew Brecon Beacons very well, I was like, oh, I'll try that. So I did apply. So for the last 2 years, I was delivering the adventure training for the British Army recruits as well, which was great experience for me. And I've learned a lot. And I gained huge confidence as an outdoor instructor by doing this. That was my brief story, how I started and how uncertain that was. But I knew I can always go back to my, project management job if I'm going to struggle. But financially, it was probably the worst period in my life. It still is. I'm still adjusting, having project manager wages and now working as a freelance instructor and still trying to do different qualifications in the same time. It's quite a financial burden. And I think if I didn't have a partner, I would quite struggle financially.
How do you manage that stress and that uncertainty?
Currently, I think I go with the flow. I don't overthink. I don't feel it's stressful. I just enjoy the process because I think the journey is most important to me. It's not I'm going to sit at home and say, oh, I shouldn't be doing this really, because once you're feeding this thought in your head, you're starting overthinking everything. And that's the worst you can do to yourself. And enjoying the process, enjoying the journey, meeting new people, like sharing the passion to the outdoors and sharing that with others as well, I think gives me even more motivation. I receive many messages on my Instagram saying, Kasia, you're great inspiration, I'm going through my ML process and seeing your stories that really inspiring me. It makes me smile. Even if you inspire one person, it's a great achievement. And I think that's most important for me, to have that feeling fulfilled and also inspiring others, I think. And progressing from there, that was just my start of the journey. I did progress further with other stuff as well. And it's only gets better. And as you asked the question, I do not try to overthink how I struggle. I just try to focus on positives.
Being like a new outdoor instructor, do you get those feelings of, am I good enough? And if so, how do you handle that?
I had huge imposter syndrome because during my, mountain leader assessment, I made few mistakes during the assessment. And I thought, okay, I made one mistake, I made second mistake. And I was thinking, I'm not good enough to be here. Then you compare yourself to other people which are on the assessment with you. I was like, oh, they're doing great. And, they're young, they're, fit and they great at navigation. And there's me, I'm 33, I'm not good enough. So maybe I should go and practice more and then come back. So I said to my assessor, I said, probably you're going to defer me. I prepare for this, but however, he's seen the good in me as well. So, I was good at environment knowledge. I was good at looking after the team. I was good at many other things. Navigation error here and there wasn't probably enough to defer me, to fail me. However, at this time, I was like, the imposter syndrome kicked in massively. And I was like, oh, I'm not good enough. So I was always questioning myself, what I'm doing here. Like, I should be probably sitting by the desk now, not pretending I'm a mountain leader, who the heck I am, and so on in my head. And once you start working with your qualifications, I compare now it's to driving, isn't it? When you started driving, how you feel. You probably don't know what you're doing and you think, wow, I'm super unsafe on the road. And then you're driving more and more and more, and then you're gaining that experience. And I think it's the same with being a mountain leader. You can make mistakes. After the assessment, you also learn and you develop and you're trying to find who you really are and what you want to do in this outdoor world, because there are many branches that you can take. And yeah, I gained that experience by obviously working and getting into it full time.
Are you still working with the army?
Yes. I work with them quite a lot, almost like on a monthly basis. It's my bread and butter, I would say, at the moment, because it gives me more chance to carry on with my current qualification I'm working towards.
What qualifications are you working towards at the moment?
It's mountaineering and climbing instructor.
And when will you hope to take that qualification?
So I completed my training in June last year. So it was June 2023, and my assessment is booked for May 2025. However, because it's the top summer qualification, outdoor qualification you can get in the UK, it's more involved and challenging. And obviously you need to be at the good level to become that instructor. So I just want to prepare myself as much as I can. Hence, I gave myself a little bit more time to get prepared and be good at what I'm doing rather than just, chance, oh, maybe they're going to pass me or not. So it's more involved.
And what does that preparation look like? Where are you traveling to? What type of mountains are you climbing? What does that look like?
It is definitely more challenging for me being based in Hereford because, you cannot just go to the hills and walk. Now you have to focus on proper rock climbing. So it's traditional climbing. It needs to be multi-pitch. It needs to be at a certain grade. So there is a grading system for British traditional climbing, and you have to be at the level of very severe 4C specifically. And you have to, do scrambling. You have to take people out climbing. You have to practice teaching climbing. So it's broad spectrum of different skills and more preparation. So the limitation I've got is the location I live. So there is more travel involved, definitely. There is more time off I need to take. So, because I'm a freelance instructor now, I book myself onto my own calendar, which is good. And then I blocked off, in my calendar, certain weeks in a month that I can go and practice. And because you have to do that, you can't just, go once a month. You can't go 1 weekend a month. You have to practice a lot. And there is certain requirement in a digital logbook for mountaineering instructor that you have to tick off. Without this, you won't be able to attend the assessment. It is more, spend time away from my family. It's less time spent with my daughter. And this is the most difficult part of it. The travel, time away from home, trying to find a partner to climb with. People are at work, people got their own lives. And we've got certain group chats that we created as a mountaineering instructor trainees. There's some female group chats specifically for female only that we're like, oh, are you free today to climb? And then we are hoping to find someone to climb with. But these are the challenges we have to face. Time, money, vehicle fuel, then partners to climb with. And then obviously practicing skills, booking yourself onto additional courses, like CPDs, For me, attending only training was not enough. I wanted to, get into a little bit more to detail. So also you need to spend money for additional training courses and CPD days. So it's a lot, but in the same time, I do enjoy the process because I met so many great people, many like-minded people. You go and visit beautiful places, you're climbing on the sea cliffs around the UK. It's just great. I think it's the best thing I've ever done to myself in my life.
Do you still get that same level of joy spending time in the outdoors? Or now that it's your job, like how do you balance that between, turning your hobby into your job?
Yes, so there are many different opinions about it because some of people climb and some of people walk mountains just for pleasure. And they say, I couldn't do that for work because I would lose, I would lose that love and passion. For me, it's the opposite. I love to be outdoors. I love to share the passion as well. So, and you share the knowledge, and I love to lead as an example. And you almost like that role model for some young people you work with. And as you said, I mentioned the DOV previously. The DOV is a great example of it because they're seeing you as that role model. They've got parents that are working hard every day, but in the same time, you telling them your story or brief story. Sometimes I do share my, my transition with young people, and they say, "Wow, that's great inspiration, and it's great what you're doing." Because there's not only work 8 till 5. There's something else that you can do outside that. Even if I'm tired after all day, I still got that feeling. I still done some exercise. I've done my activity. I keep myself healthy, and also this open added all to me. And, I started alpinism. I started climbing in the Alps. I met many different people that share the same passion. And I also would like to progress more into exploration of the mountains. So, last year I went to Himalaya mountains in India, and it was a great journey as well. It's only working in the outer world. It was just start for me.
Tell me more about the Himalayas.
So I went to India. That was Sikkim. Sikkim is like a northeast part of India. As I said before, when you're meeting these people, like-minded people, and then you discover a little bit more in the outer world. And there's clubs, many mountaineering clubs in the UK that you can join and share the knowledge, share the know, and finding climbing partners. And a couple of years ago, I joined the Alpine Club, which is like the oldest mountaineering club in the UK. I think it's even in the world. So I joined the Alpine Club as an aspirant member, because if you don't have Alpine experience, you cannot join. You're not allowed to join as a full member. And as an aspirant member, you have to attend the training course and you have to do this and that. So I did that as well. I went to Switzerland for like an aspirant member meet. And, I've ticked off my first 4,000 meter peaks. I've gained experience in, crossing glacier and crevasse rescue, and started developing new skills as well. And that even gave me more energy and more like, wow, this is great. It's not only walking small hills in the UK now, it's big mountains and, high altitude and this and that. So that just inspired me to even go higher and higher. So I attended that training and met many new people, and then attended also AGM for the Alpine Club. And there was a person who was talking about their current expedition to Tajikistan. And I was like, this is amazing. I'd love to do that. I'd love to go to the world and try to find the mountains that are not climbed yet. And that was huge inspiration and gave me motivation even more to get higher. So I contacted Alex, who was talking about that expedition, and tried to ask him questions about what to do to get yourself onto expedition like that, because that was my new goal. I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do. And I was working towards achieving it. So I was quite lucky because Alex invited me to one of the expeditions that he was already part of. And he was like, Kasia, do you want to join? And I was like, absolutely yes. So I was lucky enough to join the expedition. And unfortunately, Alex said, oh, I can't go anymore. I've got commitments. And so he withdrew from the expedition. So I ended up finding myself a new partner. And Ula, who is also Polish, and she lives in the UK for a long time as well. She also mountaineer and climber. I met her through Instagram. And then we met on one of the Women's Trad festivals as well. And we started climbing together. So I thought Ula would be a perfect partner for me to go and go to Himalaya to try to climb the unclimbed peak. And she accepted my offer, fortunately. She's also married to a person from India. So it was like everything was adding up and perfectly lining up as well for us. So she joined our team as well. And we went to Sikkim end of September 2023. And it was 6 of us. It was international team. So it was 2 people from 2 Swiss Italians, 2 British, and me and Ula. So she's Polish British. She got dual citizenship, and it was me as well. So yeah, we went to Sikkim, and we tried to climb one of the Virgin Peaks. We had few objectives there. We achieved what we wanted to, but the time was limited due to bad weather conditions. Yeah, however, this is the different long story, I would say, about the expedition. However, as you can see, the progress from learning new skills to walking mountains, to completing mountain leader, to then joining mountaineering club, and then finding myself in a remote part of Indian Himalaya. It was just unbelievable what I've done in the last 3 years and how I progressed, and the satisfaction I have now. You cannot replace it with anything else. So it's a huge progress for me.
Kasia, where are you most active on social media? Where can people follow along with your journey? Where should they go?
Currently, I'm mostly on Instagram. It's Mountains and Me, MTNS _and_me. I also I've got more plans after completing my MCI. Hopefully I'll pass in May 2025, and I would like to organize my own expedition as well. I've got some other goals like Greenland and, Western Nepal, where there are still many unclimbed peaks and still some areas to be explored. And I would like to continue that. And I would like to, do a little bit more. And in the same time, I'm gaining more experience, as alpinist, and watch this space.
Kasia, I would love for you to share your final words of advice, final words of wisdom for other women who want to make a career change, want to work in the outdoors, spend more time in the outdoors. What advice would you like to share with them? But please don't say just do it. Any other advice apart from that?
I think just ignore the negative opinions of people around you, because you can hear many things like, this is not feasible, you can't do that. There are very negative people around you that they have no clue what's your dream. They have no clue what you can achieve. Just ignore these negative voices and just keep pushing, keep manifesting and working hard if you want to achieve something. Ignoring negative voices, I think that's the best thing I've done.
Absolutely. Ignore those negative voices.
Exactly.
Kasia, thank you so much for coming on Tough Girl Podcast. It's been amazing to speak to you, and best of luck with all your future adventures and challenges.
Thank you very much.
Hey Tribe, I really hope you enjoyed the episode with Kasia. Everything that we have talked about today will be available in the show notes at toughgirlchallenges.com. So please do go and check it out. New episodes of the Tough Girl Podcast go live every Tuesday, with bonus episodes occasionally going live on a Thursday at 7 a.m. UK time. So make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out. Next week, we are going to be speaking to Teresa Frost. And let me just tell you a little bit more about what you can expect from this episode. So Teresa is a 68-year-old Ironman European aquabike champion. She's a smallholder. She's a wife of over 40 years. She's a mum of 2, grandma to 3. And she wants to talk all about how age and having a double hip replacement are no reasons to slow down. So she shares more about her fascinating story from her active childhood, growing up on a farm in Gloucestershire, to how she entered the world of endurance sport. She talks about her initial foray into running after the birth of her daughter Harriet, and how this led her to participate in multiple London marathons and ultimately Ironman competitions. So you're going to hear about all of her triumphs and challenges, including overcoming a double hip replacement, her rigorous training schedule, and her philosophy on staying active and healthy. So whether you are looking for inspiration to take on a new challenge or tips on staying fit and motivated at any age, Teresa's story is sure to captivate and inspire you. You can support the Tough Girl Podcast by visiting Patreon, patreon.com/Tough Girl Podcast. And you can support the mission to increase the amount of female role models in the media, especially in relation to adventure and physical challenge. Massive thank you to all of the incredible patrons out there. I really could not do this without you. All that is left for me to say is, wherever you are, whatever you are doing, give it your all. Give it 110%. Get after it. Go for it. Believe in yourself, because I believe in you. Take care, lots of love, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.